Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with something different today. We spent a lot of time talking about government ERP disasters, and trust me, there are plenty of them. But what if I told you that some government agencies, in fact many, are actually getting this right? Today we're flipping the script. We're going to study what successful implementations look like, understand what made them work, and then contrast them with what went catastrophically wrong in San Francisco. Because the difference between a 50 million success and a $50 million disaster often comes down to just a few critical decisions. So if you're a government leader, consultant, or just someone who wants to understand why some technology projects succeed while others become front-page disasters, stick around. And if you get value from this kind of analysis, make sure to hit subscribe. We're on a mission to reach 100K subscribers by helping you understand what really works in government technology. Let's start with Atlanta. This is a city that has been running the same Oracle system since 2004. We're talking 15 years on heavily customized legacy software. Sound familiar? It should, because that's where most government disasters begin. But here's what Atlanta did differently. Instead of panicking and building something custom, they made a disciplined decision to move to Oracle Cloud. Everything at once. Financials, procurement, human capital management. What consultants call a big bang approach. Now, most of you are probably thinking big bang implementations are risky, and you're right. But Atlanta's deputy CFO said something crucial. Communicate with all stakeholders from the very beginning. You need their buy-in, and when you get it, they will spread the word. They didn't just talk to executives, they talked to the people who would actually use the system every day. They asked hard questions about why they were doing things a certain way, and when they found processes that didn't make sense, they changed them instead of trying to recreate them in the new system. Here's what's really impressive about Atlanta's approach. They conducted rigorous data audits before migration. They moved away from non-standard processes. As their team put it, moving to something more standardized made us question why we were doing things a certain way. Now, this is a crucial point that most failed implementations miss. Atlanta didn't try to make the software match their existing processes. They examined their processes, found the ones that were broken or inefficient, and adapted to software best practices. They also consolidated disparate systems. Instead of keeping multiple vendors for different functions, they brought everything under one roof and automated workflows. This eliminated the data integration problems that plague so many government systems. Now, the results speak for themselves. Payroll processing went from multiple days down to 2.5 days. Now, how many of you have one payroll person that holds up the whole process? Rightfully so, because they have older systems, lots of data to process. But Atlanta eliminated external vendor contracts, saving significant costs. They automated manual workflows across departments. But here's the most important result. They can now update their system easily because it's not heavily customized. Atlanta CFO put it perfectly. Updates are just pushed out to the system. Because it's not customized, we're in a better position. Think about what this means long term. While other agencies struggle with expensive upgrades and security patches, Atlanta can stay current with minimal effort and cost. That is the difference between thinking short-term and building for sustainable success. Now, what made Atlanta work wasn't just the technology choice, it was their disciplined approach to change management, data quality, and process improvement. They treated the implementation as an organizational transformation, not just a software replacement. Most of these projects are not technology projects. Atlanta's success isn't unique, but it illustrates principles that separate successful government ERP projects from disasters. Now, let me break that down and what that actually means. First, proven platforms over custom development. Atlanta chose Oracle Cloud, a platform with thousands of government implementations. They didn't try to reinvent payroll or financial management. They leveraged 20 plus years of best practices built into proven software. And that's true for any software that's modern and available on the market. The data on this is clear. According to latest research, organizations using proven platforms have significantly higher success rates than those attempting custom development. Yet agencies keep choosing custom because they think they're unique. And now custom doesn't mean building from scratch. It also means heavily customizing something that's off the shelf. Second, early and continuous stakeholder engagement. The Atlanta's deputy CFO made this the foundation of their approach. They didn't just send emails or hold a few meetings. They embedded stakeholder feedback into every decision. This goes beyond just getting buy-in. When you engage frontline users early, they help you identify process problems before you automate them. They become advocates instead of saboteurs. They help you understand what actually needs to be different versus what people just think needs to be different. Third, data quality as a prerequisite, not an afterthought. Atlanta conducted comprehensive data audits before migration. They cleaned up master data, eliminated duplicates, and standardized formats. Most failed implementations assume the new system will magically fix their data problems. That's like assuming a new car will run better if you put dirty oil in it. Garbage in, garbage out isn't just a saying, it's a fundamental truth of system implementations. Truer now in the era of AI, if you want to leverage any kind of AI system or product, your data needs to be pristine. Do it before you get on this implementation path. You can do it while the RFP is on the street or as you're thinking about implementing a new system. Take a look at your data because you don't want to take bad data into a new system. Number 4, process standardization over customization. This is where government leaders often go wrong. They see their current processes as sacred and demand that the software adapt to match them. Atlanta did the opposite and the right thing. They question why they did things the current way. When they found broken or inefficient processes, they changed them to match software best practices. This isn't just about the technology. It never is. It's about organizational improvement. 5th, expertise that matches your domain. Government isn't just another vertical market. Budget cycles, procurement rules, audit requirements, compliance standards. These create unique constraints that generic consultants don't understand. You may have done this in the private sector, but the government is a different animal. Fund-based accounting, GAAP, grant accounting standards, project-based accounting, all of this is very different in government. The most successful government implementations use teams with deep public sector experience, like Avero. Not just technical skills, but people who understand how government actually works. Now let's talk about what happens when you violate every single success principle. San Francisco Unified School District, the third largest employer in San Francisco, spent $55 million over 3 years and still couldn't reliably pay their teachers. Here's the timeline of the disaster. January 2022, they launched Empower SF, a custom-built payroll system developed by Infosys, which is a major player in global software. Within 2 months, teachers are camping out at district headquarters because they're not getting paid. Let me paint you a picture of how bad this got. Teachers were literally sleeping overnight at the district office, protesting unpaid wages. This is the worst thing that can happen to an organization. In one of the most expensive cities in America, educators couldn't pay rent because their employer's computer system didn't work. November 2022, the superintendent declares a payroll state of emergency. Let me repeat that. A payroll state of emergency. They set up a 60-person command center just to handle employee complaints. Principals were writing personal checks worth thousands of dollars to help teachers pay rent while they waited for the district to figure out how to pay them. December 2022, the district sends notices to 750 teachers claiming they were overpaid and demanding repayment. Those notices were generated by the same broken system and turned out to be completely wrong. Imagine getting a letter demanding thousands in repayment when you haven't been paid correctly in months. Throughout 2023, they spent over $10 million in consulting fees trying to fix the unfixable. The civil grand jury documented how these payroll failures were actively harming teacher recruitment and retention in a district already facing severe staffing shortages. In February 24, they finally admit defeat and decide to scrap the entire $34 million system, demanding repayment. This year, July 2025, they launched their replacement system from Frontline Education, spending another $20 million. The total tab is now over $55 million. Within 1 month, over 100 employees are reporting new payroll errors. Teachers are back to protesting. Leslie Hugh, a community school coordinator, is owed over $6,000 for summer work and had to pay late fees on rent and credit cards. The district's response? They claim 97% accuracy, as if leaving 1 in 30 employees with payroll problems is acceptable. They blame training issues and old system data problems, the same excuses they made for the first disaster. So what went wrong? Again, let me count the ways and compare each one to what Atlanta did right and what San Francisco School District did wrong. First, they chose custom development over proven solutions. And this is only in 2022. Lots of proven solutions were already on the market. While districts across California were successfully using established education systems, or any established payroll system for that matter, San Francisco decided they were special and needed something built from scratch. Compare this to Atlanta's choice of proven Oracle Cloud. Second, zero stakeholder engagement. The district's teachers found out about the new system when their paychecks didn't show up. There was no early communication, no feedback loops, no buy-in process. Compare this to Atlanta's foundation of stakeholder engagement from day one. Third, no data cleanup. They tried to migrate dirty data into a new system and acted surprised when garbage in produced garbage out. They're still making this mistake with their replacement system, blaming old system data problems instead of taking responsibility for data quality. Again, compare this to Atlanta's rigorous data audits and pre-implementation data cleanup and standardization. Fourth, they use consultants with no education sector experience. Infosys is a great company, but they're not specialists in education or education payroll systems. San Francisco treated payroll like generic software development instead of understanding the unique complexities of education HR. Fifth, they tried to customize everything instead of standardizing processes. Instead of asking, why do we do it this way, they demanded the software match their existing broken workflows. The pattern continues even now. Their lessons learned replacement system launched with the same fundamental problems because they didn't actually learn the lessons. They just spent more money hoping a different vendor would magically fix their broken processes and clean their dirty data. Here's what's really telling. Infosys was never found in breach of contract. Think about what that means. The vendor delivered what San Francisco asked for. The problem wasn't the vendor or the technology. It was San Francisco's requirements, project management, and approach to governance in general. This is a $55 million lesson in what happens when you ignore every proven success principle and repeat every known failure pattern. So let's step back and look at the clear patterns. What separates a successful deployment like Atlanta's to a disaster like San Francisco's school district? Pattern number one, proven over custom. Atlanta chose Oracle Cloud with thousands of successful implementations. San Francisco chose custom development with zero track record. The risk difference is obvious, but somehow government leaders keep making the wrong choice. Pattern number two, people before technology. Atlanta made stakeholder engagement the foundation. San Francisco treated people as an afterthought. You can have perfect technology, but if people don't adopt it, you failed. Pattern number three, data quality first. Atlanta cleaned up their data and questioned their processes before migration. San Francisco assumed technology would fix their data problems. In fact, they may not even have known that they have data problems. This assumption has destroyed more implementations than any other single factor. Pattern number four, process improvement over preservation. Atlanta standardized and improved. San Francisco tried to automate their existing broken processes. If your current process doesn't work or works only with the specific systems or workflows or Excel sheets that you have, automating it just gives you broken automation. Pattern five, domain expertise matters. Government is different. Education is different. Education payroll is different. Generic consultants don't understand these differences, and that ignorance becomes expensive quickly. Pattern number six, realistic expectations and accountability. Atlanta measured real improvements, payroll time reduction, cost savings, operational efficiency, while San Francisco keeps moving the goalposts and declaring partial victories. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. These patterns aren't secrets. They're well documented. We talk about it every week, and it's documented in decades of implementation research. The reason projects fail isn't lack of knowledge. It's not the technology. It's lack of discipline to follow what we know works. So what should you do if you're facing an ERP decision, or if your project is failing, or if you have questions about it that the software vendors don't answer? Here's my checklist based on these patterns. Number one, choose proven platforms with extensive references in your specific domain. If the vendor can't show you 20 plus similar implementations with measurable results, walk away. Don't be the beta tester. Now, there is a caveat to this. There's a lot of new products on the market, lots of AI enablement. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. 20 plus similar implementations 20 years ago doesn't count anymore. But what should count is that vendor's experience dealing with school systems, experience dealing with K through 12 educational payroll systems and HR. That is the key, not that they deployed their older system somewhere else for 20 plus times. Second, make stakeholder engagement your foundation, not an afterthought. Create advisory committees, steering committees with actual end users and decision makers. Hold regular feedback sessions. If the people using the system every day aren't involved in designing it, you're planning to fail. You also need to have a strong decision maker, an executive sponsor who can break ties and make decisions when the group fails to do so. Third, invest heavily in data cleanup and process analysis before any technology work begins. Question why you do things the current way. Be willing to change processes to match proven best practices. Bad processes don't improve by automating them. 4, hire expertise that matches your domain and complexity. Government payroll isn't the same as private sector payroll. Education has unique requirements. You have unions involved. Find consultants who understand your specific challenges, not generic IT implementation. 5th, set realistic success metrics and stick to them. Define what success looks like upfront, specific, measurable outcomes. Don't declare victory when you're not clearly there and when you're clearly failing. And I say this often, success factors should be yours, meaning the client's success factors, not the vendors. When they mesh and come together, it's a beautiful thing, and that's when success happens. And here are your absolute red flags, by the way. Any vendor promising custom development for core functions like payroll or financials, implementation teams without extensive experience in your specific sector, timeline pressure that skips proper testing, training, or data preparation, any focus on software features over process improvements, and anyone who says, we'll fix the data problems after we go live, run away from them because there is no after go live. Yes, if you've planned it, you can deploy other modules and bring on other functionalities, but none of the fixing happens after go live. You have to fix it before go live. Look, government technology doesn't have to be a disaster. Atlanta's successful transformation proves that with the right approach, you can modernize systems, improve operations, systems and actually make people's lives better. The patterns are clear and the playbook exists. Choose proven over custom. Engage people early and often. Clean up your data and processes first. Use experts who understand your domain. Set realistic expectations that you can actually stick to. San Francisco's $55 million disaster didn't happen because ERP implementations are inherently risky. They are, but it happened because they ignored every single success pattern and repeated every known failure pattern, and they're still doing it. The tragedy isn't just the wasted money, though $55 million could have hired over 1,000 teachers for a full year. The real tragedy is the human cost. Teachers unable to pay rent, families struggling because paychecks don't arrive, trust in public institutions eroded because basic functions don't work. This stuff matters. When government technology fails, real people suffer real consequences. But when it works, like Atlanta's transformation, it makes government more efficient, more responsive, and more trustworthy. What do you think? Have you seen successful government implementations in your area, or have you lived through disasters like San Francisco's? Drop your stories in the comments. I read every single one and I will respond. And if this analysis was helpful, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're building a community of people who want government technology to actually work, and